Hey everyone, this is Mac, VP of Quality, and this is the video preview for our upcoming quality key review on December 1st, calendar year 2022. We'll start off with discussion topics first, then OKRs, and then cap it out with key metrics. First off is increasing contributors. We are continuing our focus on review and merge of the wider community MRs. Happy to say that the backlog of the MRs has been decreasing. I think it's down by 16% during September to November. You can see from the gray area chart here, which is great news. And then the runner group has taken an OKR to merge 100% of the community MRs that were open before August. Thank you very much, runner team. We continue to make progress on the technical onboarding of leading orgs. We completed 9 so far. We're tracking that as part of our OKRs. As you recall, we have put down a review system in place to support review from both the leading orgs and also the wider community. So happy to say that we're starting to see a return on investment of this. The majority of the wider community, unique wider community contributors are returning contributors this quarter. So these are the orange bar. These are returning contributors. So folks that have contributed at least one MR with us before. And the purple one, the new contributors that are brand new. We attained the SLO for leading orgs MR review at 4 days, which is great. However, the wider community review time has increased by a bit, by 20%. So it's a leverage point. So we're focusing more on the leading orgs, and then we're taking a slight hit on the wider community review time. We finished up the developer certification of origin, signed commits. However, there's not much traction here, so we are pausing efforts here for until we hear more on the demand. I just want to dive in a bit more on the metrics. The backlog here you see is decreasing. We're seeing more of an uptick of returning contributors, which is great. And then here that the wider community review time has increased by a bit. So what are we focusing on next? We will continue to recognize the wider community members and internal team members, and we're looking to set up a contributor event sometime in Q1. We're doing a working session with the community, the wider community, and we're tracking 30 of them. So from created issue to merge MR, and that should help with the influx of MR creation going forward. We're also experimenting with a peer review within the wider community itself, so having the wider community review each other MRs before it comes to us, and that will be the foundation of setting up new community teams and also increasing the quality of the reviews before it comes to the GitLab team members. Going on to bug prioritization next. So what we've learned so far, what we've done since the last peer review is we are now focusing on customer impacting bugs as part of being customer centric. And we see that we have a smaller number of backlog, which is highly leveraged, highly impactful. We're focusing the teams on closing those out. The cross-functional prioritization process is also gaining adoption here. We see an increase in adoption in 15.6 at 89%. And then we are getting tagged by the quad and the product teams in product planning issues as well. It's great to see. Actions being taken now, as I said before, we are working with the teams to close out customer impacting S2 bugs. I think we have 16 issues closed so far, which is great. I think this is going to be a good one. It's going to be also in our Q4 OKRs. And we will likely track this as a KPI going forward, which is a customer impacting open bug age. And that would be a more leverage, that would likely be a KPI going forward. Going on to pipeline efficiency, we're continuing to track master stability problems. We have an incident process now in place. We have identified that most of them are flaky tests, so we are working on a dashboard to fan out these flaky tests to the teams, and then adding visibility of slow running tests as well to fan out efforts to the wider engineering org. And our teams will be focused on data and then enablement of the team members, but we need help from the wider, from all of the teams to help us be more efficient. Going on to what we're doing now on pipeline efficiency, we'll continue with the rapid action to speed up slow specs, speed up fixture generation, and then optimize the review apps. As you recall, we have test intelligence, so to look at test execution and also running failed tests first. We'll continue to improve those gaps and fine tune them, mostly in the RSpec and just tests. And then lastly, we are doing a GDK innovation here. We're planning to set up a GDK in the pipeline to speed up QA test execution. And we're hopeful that this will reduce the setup time from 60 minutes to 30 minutes instead. We are now running on review apps, which is slower to set up. This should speed things up by quite a bit as well. Going into OKRs, first one is increase ARR with testing and bug fixes. As I said before, we are focusing on closing out customer impacting S1, S2 bugs, strongly rely on FedRAMP, RAW, and also fulfillment efficiency. Those are in a good state. And then we've also made a lot of progress on the single source of truth for costs, the infrastructure hosting costs. Next one is test efficiency and customer insights. We're planning to reduce the tests QA test duration by 30%, continue to improve master pilot and stability from 90 to 95, and hopefully we sustain it there in the next quarters. Since we're focusing on customer impacting bugs, we want to work on the dashboards that highlights customer impacting S1, S2 bugs, and then fan those out to all the teams as well. And lastly, on TIFF, so now we're fine-tuning TIFF. I think we're at 80 minutes overall, and to get this down, we want to focus on the outliers, which is the P80. Those are at 33%, and we want to try to get this down to 22%. And if it is achievable, it will reduce the overall TIFF down as well. Increasing community contributions. So scaling the community. As I said before, we are executing a creation to review mentoring session, so 30 of them. Complete 15 leading orgs onboarding workshops, organizing the GitLab, the first GitLab contributor days, and then continue to increase the contributors from 113 to 140. Those are in a good place, and we're going to do community contribution recognition and also the internal recognition as well. So on the next OKR meeting hiring targets, we continue working on that, and as well as talent assessments. And then we have 2 management positions open, and that we aim to have that be a candidate from underrepresented groups. Lastly, on training, so we have an OKR to train our team members to be best in class. We are collaborating with the strategic marketing team to get the materials in, and then identify areas that we can improve in testing to help accelerate the areas that needs to be best in class or behind competition maturity. Moving on to key metrics updates. So first off is unique wider community contributors per month. This month we're at 89, which is a bit on the low side. It's not over 120 yet. However, the last month we are over 100, and we overall it's increasing quarter over quarter. To note that we don't have an outreach event yet this month, so we're at 89. Well, with the OKR this quarter and also the upcoming event, we're hopeful that the next month we should have a big influx here. As I said before, we now have a new PI for leading orgs, time to review, and we're at target at 4 working days, which is great. Thanks to the team. Going on to master pipeline stability, so we are decreased quite a bit to 92% this month, and we have an OKR to move this over up to 95 again. Review app stability has decreased. We have hit scale, and also the review app cluster is at its limit, so we are scaling this back down a bit, and putting monitoring and alerts in place and addressing the DNS issue that we ran into, and then we will scale this back up again when it is stable. Happy to say that we are now at 18 minutes for TIFF, and with the OKR this quarter, hopefully we'll drive this down further, which is great. S1 OBA is under target. It was under target last time as well. We continue to see good momentum here. And then we're finally under target for S2 OBA, which is great. So kudos to the team for advocating bugs, and then the teams that are scheduling and fixing S2 bugs. The retention is okay. And then lastly, our open average, the average age of open positions, we have this stabilized, and we continue to focus on hiring efficiencies going forward. So that is a review of our key review. Hope to see you there. Please add questions, and we'll talk in the meeting. Thank you.